What is up, guys? My name is Jason Whan, and in this video we're going to be talking about why nice guys finish last. So I'm sure that we've all heard the saying, nice guys finish last. What's wrong with being nice and sweet all the time? Um, what's wrong with pleasing people and keeping people happy? Am I saying that you should go around being a jerk to people and pissing everyone off? Well, that's not actually what I'm saying, right? There's actually a really big downside if you're always trying to be nice, you're always trying to agree with people, and always trying to avoid stirring the pot and avoid pissing people off. Because basically, it's when you're always trying to keep people happy and you're always trying to keep peace, you're not being true to yourself, and you're not standing up for yourself, and you're not being, who you really are. You're actually putting on a mask. So what I'm saying is that nice guys need to learn to not be afraid of offending people, right? So there's a fine difference between going around and deliberately pissing people off and not being afraid of offending people when it is necessary to do so. So it's necessary for sometimes you need to confront people when, your needs are not being met or you're being disrespected, right? Or, sometimes there's a conflict and, you sometimes it's not necessary for you to compromise, for you to sacrifice. It's necessary for you to negotiate, and that requires courage, and that requires, not being afraid of offending people and pissing people off, right? So nice guys they're always afraid of conflict and confrontation, so they're always avoiding it, and they're not able to stand up for themselves, and so they're really just suppressing feelings, emotions, and their needs and desires. And they're afraid of standing up for themselves because they feel like if they do so, well, people are going to see them for who they really are, and they're going to judge them, and they may not want to spend time with them anymore, and they may leave them, right? Because they realize, like, oh, this guy is actually not, all that sweet and nice. He's actually, he offended me, right? He's changed, So nice guys don't believe that they're worthy or deserving of other people's love, time, and attention. So they often do extra and often unnecessary things to make other people like them, right? So they're just trying to force relationships with other people. They think that if they have to do something to be worthy and to be loved. So one time I went out to a dinner with a bunch of people to a karaoke bar. Okay, it wasn't actually dinner, it was just drinks, and we had a lot of drinks, right? And at the end of the night, when I went to go pay with everyone else, we discovered that one guy had paid for everything, right? So he paid for the drinks, he paid for the room, the entertainment, everything, right? So just so you know, there were like 15 people there that night. And when I asked him for his bank number so I could transfer him, he just refused. And he also refused transfers from every person who went to the karaoke bar that night. And I just felt like what he did was just totally unnecessary. It was totally unexpected. It was just a normal hangout, right? It wasn't like it was some person's birthday party. It wasn't like he hosted the thing. It was just a normal hangout, a normal gathering, right? And he paid for the whole bloody thing. And it was just totally unexpected. And I felt pretty bad for him as well because it costed him so much, and he just didn't want anyone to pay him their fair share. But he willingly did that, and that's the thing. And I feel like deep down he felt unworthy, he felt undeserving, and he felt like he had to do something, even though what he did was pay for everyone's share of the party. It was just totally unnecessary, but he felt like he had to do that in order to be liked, in order to feel worthy. So this nice guy behavior is only exasperated when it comes to dating, right? Some guys, they're super high achievers, brilliant negotiators, they're earning heaps of money, and They have phenomenal careers, phenomenal friendships, and they're just, living really great lives. But then when it comes to dating, when it comes to women, they just totally revert to a nice guy, beta male, right? And I feel like it's really got a lot to do with, the mainstream media that, we've all been like, taught to sort of listen to, right? So like you gotta, it's always about some dude that's totally getting dominated by his girlfriend and just being an absolute fucking beta male and just being a total servant to his girlfriend and just doing whatever his girlfriend wants him to do and just being a total doormat, right? That's what men are just conditioned to believe in today's age, and I think it's causing a lot of people to be total nice guy beta males when they're around women and they're around their girlfriends and wives. And it's just not a good role model to, other men, to even to their children, because it teaches, let's say you have a husband and his wife, and the husband's always getting dominated by his wife. The husband has no spine, he can never stand up for himself. What does that teach to his children? Well, it's basically teaching his children to have no boundaries, no standards, and to always let other people jerk you around and just have their way with you, right? It's not a good role model, right? So anyways, I have a mate whom I've known for a couple of years, and he's a high achiever and a very self-reliant individual. He's studying at a good university and he has a very bright future ahead of him. And so he's dating this girl, but for some reason he's just totally in a disadvantaged position with this woman. So he's a great cook, he loves to cook, but the thing is he's always cooking for her and he's always bringing her food, and he's kind of like a delivery man for her, right? And he's kind of just like a servant to her, and she can just call him whenever she feels like it, and he'll do exactly as she says, with no hesitance, and I just feel like he's in a very disadvantaged position, and it's not a very balanced relationship. And one time they came over for dinner at my place, and my mate, he was a really good cook, so he wanted to cook some beef dombre at my place, and so I allowed him to use the kitchen, and they had gotten the ingredients beforehand, so it was all prepared. And so he was very meticulous with all of the steps, and I could tell he put a lot of heart into his cooking, as he usually does. And it took a lot of time, right? He had to get the beef dombre to the right, I wanted like a medium or something, so he had to cook it to the right, and so he had to cook the beef to the correct rareness. And so when he made the beef and it came out, it was just really delicious, right? And so I made the rice, right? So I made the rice using a rice cooker, and all I had to do was put the rice in the cooker and press a button, and it was finished in like 20 minutes, right? And then when we were eating, or before we ate, he served the rice and then the beef dombre on top of it with a salad. The salad had a dressing, and it looked amazing, right? And then when we were eating, his girlfriend told me that the rice I made was delicious. And I thought it was just freaking funny, right? Because she was complimenting my rice when it literally took me 2 minutes to make. Like, I just had to press a freaking button, okay? I put the rice into the rice cooker, and I pressed a button, and that was that. And she said my rice was delicious. And then she told my mate that the beef was kind of dry and difficult to chew, right? And he began to tense up, and you could tell, like, he didn't want to upset her. He didn't want to disappoint her. And he just began to tense up. He was like, "Oh no, what's wrong? Oh, is it kind of dry? You want to swap? My beef is kind of tender. Do you want mine?" And it's just, I felt like he totally tensed up, and he was in a very disadvantaged position. And I thought that the beef was freaking delicious. It was amazing. So let's dive into this a little deeper. Why was she not impressed? okay, maybe the beef that she got served was kind of dry. It was kind of chewy. My mate didn't do the best job of cooking that beef to perfection, right? But the other part of it was that I believe that she was testing my friend, right? And this is what women do. Like they'll find chinks in your armor. They'll test you when they seek weakness, right? They want to see what you're made of. They want to see how manly of a man you actually are, right? They want to see if you can stand up to her. They want to see if they can have their way with you, if she can get under your skin, right? That's what women do. You know, that's how they see if you're a real man or not, if you really have the balls to stand up to her, right? So my mate, he was in nice guy mode, and this is what a lot of men experience. This is what a lot of men do. Like in the beginning, before they meet a woman, they're focused on their mission, focused on their purpose, they're achieving their goals. So that's really that's a masculine drive. It's purpose oriented, and it's very masculine. It's very attractive, and that's what attracted my mate. That's what attracted his girlfriend into his life. But then slowly over time, you're in a relationship with a woman, and maybe your girlfriend tells you like, oh, why you always hang out with the boys? Why don't you spend more time with me? Or like, oh, why are you working on that like stupid not stupid, like why are you working on that, why are you working so much? Okay, spend more time with me. Or and the constant nagging, and like some guys, in the beginning they're like, oh yeah, nah, I gotta work on my mission, I gotta work on my purpose, I gotta keep on hustling, I gotta become better. And then eventually they kind of just become, they just get weighed down a little bit. They're like, okay, fine, I'll do this for you, maybe this time I won't hang out with my mates, this time I won't work on my business, as I always used to do. And then slowly over time, they just become, very agreeable, and they just don't want to upset their girlfriends anymore. They just don't want to deal with it anymore, right? They're just like, okay, fine. And then soon enough, they realize that they're sort of walking on eggshells. It gets to the point where they're kind of afraid to offend their girlfriends, right? Because they're always trying to avoid conflict. And then what happens is that women are just going to test you more and more, right? Because when a woman tests you, she actually doesn't want you to comply to her, right? She actually doesn't want you to let her have her way with you. She actually wants you to stand up to her and sort of, to call her out on her bullshit, and firmly set your boundaries and sort of put her in a place, in a sense. That's what they really want to do. That's how they sense that you're strong, you're a masculine man, right? So when you can stand up to a woman and you can call her out on her bullshit, she's actually going to respect you more, and she's going to feel more attracted to you, especially in today's age where men are just totally afraid of standing up for themselves, speaking their heart, and they're always walking on eggshells because of the sort of way that the media has conditioned us to think, right? And so when you can be a real sort of man, you can stand up to a woman, that's gonna be really attractive, because it's just so rare to find a guy who can speak his truth. And when you can stand up to her and you can call her out, well, she's actually going to respect you more, she's going to feel more attracted to you, and as a consequence, she's going to test you less, she's going to be less difficult with you, and she's going to be more easygoing, right? So yeah, when I mean stand up to a woman, I'm not saying that you should be a jerk, you should be disrespectful, you should be a dick, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you got to communicate to her, either verbally or non-verbally, that you're not going to get pushed around, you're not going to get jerked around, and you're not going to get disrespected. And you can always do that in a respectful way, right? You can always do that when you're cool, you're calm, you're collected. And another very key thing is that you should never seek a woman's approval. And I feel like you should never seek anybody's approval, as a matter of fact, because when you seek validation or approval from, other people, well, that's external. Your validation, your self-worth should come from within. And if you're seeking approval from other people, well, it's actually telling other people that you don't believe in yourself, you don't believe that you're worthy, that you're confident, and it's telling other people that, you're not really a high value man. And yeah, you should not do this with women, because it's gonna turn them off, because they don't feel like you're confident and they don't feel like you're a high value sort of a guy. And so, going back to my friend's situation, if I was in my friend's position, I would have just thought of a comeback and said it in a playful and humorous way, right? So maybe I would have said something like, well, my beef is super soft and tender, it's so good, and I guess you just weren't lucky this time. You must have been a bad girl today or something. So the whole idea is to not let her get under your skin, and just to be cool about it, and to diffuse the situation with humor and playfulness. And basically you're letting her know without telling her, that she's not going to have her way with you, and that you're not going to get thrown off by her, and that you're going to remain confident and centered, even though she's trying to test you, even though she's trying to get under your skin, right? And it shows her that you're confident, and you're keeping that masculine frame. So that's it for this video, and thank you guys for listening.